like Elon Musk. We change the worldwide currency. Those we trust. No frills, no filter. Only real talk, see? Just give me a mic. Check 1, 2, 3. What's up? You know what we talking. We ain't playing over here at LFG. Haters gonna say, we from LFG, boy. We take you to the moon.
Hello and welcome to the pilot episode of LFG Snapshot, where we bring you the project updates that you so badly crave. Crave is the word. Thank you.
So on our first Snapshot episode, as you can see, it is going to be with Metaflora. Yay! I really like them, so I'm super excited to have them on with us today.
Absolutely. I am very excited for this episode because I've been conducting a lot of research and just looking further into the cannabis industry. And it's going to be great just chatting to somebody who is actually in the industry as opposed to me just looking at things online, just a little more engaging. So without further ado, the Metaflora team. Actually, really quick, like and subscribe. Thank you, good Paul. Thank you for the reminder.
That's right.
Hit that bell. Okie doke. How y'all doing today?
You're good. How are you?
Great, man. Honestly, great.
Guys.
I, again, spent the last 2 weeks just researching, and I've been dying to talk to somebody about it because I think my wife is just about done listening to things about weed. but it's finally here. And before we get into the nitty-gritty, I do want to congratulate you guys on the workloads because from what I understand, they're just around the corner. Super exciting.
23rd.
That's it. The 23rd.
Yeah.
23rd is a good date. And a little birdie told me, being a rocket unit, about some of the things you guys are working on, some of the things that are going to be implemented further down the road for the workloads. And it's honestly just super exciting. And the utility is just incredible. But again, before we get into that, I feel like we should talk just a little bit about the overall cannabis industry, what challenges they're facing, what is going on, and why isn't it what it was supposed to be, the gold rush of the 21st century, et cetera, et cetera. So, Greg, how do you feel about the transparency in the cannabis industry right now?
Well, this is what we're working on. I think that the cannabis industry right now is absolutely amazing in the grand scheme of everything. It's moving forward. We have it in our shops. It's starting to become more easily and easier to acquire it. Right? It's however maybe too easy. And right now, it's if you're a smoker, you're looking for something specific. We call them connoisseurs, right? So if you're trying to establish a connoisseurship, we need to get, great, weed is legal. Let me go to the store and go buy something because I should be grateful that I have it in the first place. So it's just not, that just doesn't cut it, right?
Yeah, that's how I feel, honestly.
Yeah. So that's what Metaflora is going to be heading out to do, is kind of correct things that are in the industry, put a voice behind the consumer, and build a complete network. And we're going to track it all on chain. All this analytical information, the industry is brand new, and this is the perfect time to be starting. So we have quite a bunch of information already, and it's just going to grow and grow and grow. So this is our first, initial building blocks into creating an analytical powerhouse, a global network for distribution and really supply chain tracking. So, think of it as even in the tomato industry, and going to the store, right?
We just talked about this. We're running this back for everyone here.
So you would be able to say, okay, not everybody's able to make the grade for the organic labeling, but that doesn't mean that all tomatoes are through bad practice, right? So in this example, you'd be able to track it back to the farm that does it, see what their farming practices are, where the seed came from, and what that heirloom story was in the end. The story behind any type of product makes it that much better. And especially when it's transparent all the way down to the source and everything checks out along the way, now you have a real product worth value. And that's what we're seeing a lot in the cannabis industry right now. Is it's some of it is a race to the bottom. And what I mean by that is we have prices on the wholesale level that are kind of coming down a lot from when, years past. This is just market equaling out. But what we really should be looking at is different types of quality. And the quality is not standing out on the shelf because there's no story behind it. So just like you would see in wine, right? If there's a story backing that bottle of wine, it sells for a lot more. And it goes into these inner circles of people who really appreciate the wine. Cannabis is going to be absolutely no different. The Connoisseur Node Network supports this mission of becoming a hierarchy of what you set in the center of your table, the talking point in the middle of the room, or the type of nugget that you bring to a business meeting. It says everything. And that's what we're working towards.
I'm really glad you brought up all of this, starting from the tomatoes all the way to wine, because I feel like, let's start with the tomatoes, right? So the lack of education, people lacking general knowledge, and it happens just about everywhere. Groceries, produce, like for example, bell peppers, and it was an absolute revelation to me that apparently red, green, orange, yellow bell peppers are all the same bell pepper. They're just different stages of maturity, and if you're doing things right, if you are a chef, you know how to use each one of them because they have different subtleties, anything from taste all the way to texture, right? And a person like me would never know about that. And realistically, it's not an issue when it comes to bell peppers, but when it's when it has anything to do with something complex like cannabis, with all of the potential applications, all of the potential benefits, it gets a lot more vital for people to understand what it is, to understand what it does. And just like you said last time we had this conversation on mission control, labeling products with just sativa and indica apparently it's no way, it's not a great way to do this because it doesn't necessarily make sense. And until we had this conversation, I didn't even know about the cannabinoids and all of the stuff they do, all of the potential benefits, because again, none of that is advertised. It really feels like none of this is done right because people seem to be focused on different things, especially when it comes to labeling. Like last I walked into a smoke shop, none of the pricing necessarily makes sense. And on top of that, all of the labels are super weird. Like you're either looking for something specific, again, like you said, you know what you're looking for, so you have some sort of prerequisite knowledge, or it's a person like me and I just ask for something, they promise whatever they're supposed to do and it just doesn't do anything, doesn't do what it's supposed to do in the first place. And most of the time, like, how hard is it to get the taste right? I feel like putting blueberries in things isn't rocket science, is it?
Right. Well, back to the cannabinoids too. Not knowing what all those items are on the back, it was, I don't understand where that all kind of came from. Like how were they planning on educating the consumer, from the last, bunch of years going on. So the first thing that we did when we added all the test results to the database was we went in and made sure we did a definition and what its health benefits were underneath every single one of your strains. So when you're researching your product, when you get it from the store, when you scan it into Metaflora, you'll be able to not just see what's inside, but learn about what's inside. And then you can start forming your own taste and your own wanted effects from the product that you're getting, and then kind of target that for your next choosings. And even our AI would kind of say, hey, this is what you're starting to like, and a new product just popped up nearby, and it has all the cannabinoids, it has all the terpene profiles that you're contributing to, that you're liking all the time, and there's a new strain out right down the street. Would you like to purchase it? And you'll be able to facilitate that purchase, whether it's for a pickup in the store, a delivery to your house, or if it's CBD, maybe it's mail ordered. So there's quite some layers once we get into the database and about showing where your connoisseurship is going. You can really navigate those avenues throughout the cannabis industry.
Yeah,
and just to add to that, the order placement process and product payment for certain partners that we have, but most definitely the local dispensary placing orders, delivery, order fulfillment. That's all going to be catered through our native token, the Flora token, which all gets distributed to our node owners for running their node.
Glad you brought that up, ladies and gentlemen. The Metaflora nodes are currently up for sale. If you are interested in supporting this ecosystem and the rest of the cannabis industry, this is a great first step. You can check them out via the links pinned in the description. So make sure to do that. And there's a whole lot more information. But I totally lost my track of train of thought while I was shamelessly plugging your node. Sorry. Shoot.
Well, we were talking about our soon to be global dispensary, and we were talking a little bit about how our marketplace is going to work connected to our database, and we want to start moving out and branch out into the B2B platform service. So from here, this is extremely valuable when you know the source, you know the good farming practices, because listen, if we have Canada providing 70% of the supply of Europe, and they're sending their salespeople over abroad, but really a lot of these transactions are happening over the internet. They're tracking different prices, different strains that they want, and they're choosing based on a picture, and that's about it. And so when you dig into Metaflora and you can see the story that's being told behind all these different packs, I mean, we're talking about companies buying, for 1 ton, 5 tons, 10 tons. And without any of this other type of knowledge behind it, the industry is changing very, very quick. And once we started getting into the import and export industries, there's going to be even less transparency in the industry. So right now is like the biggest call to action in order to have a technology like ours on the market. And if we have things coming from South America, we have them coming from Colombia, we have them coming from South Africa, Morocco, Thailand, the whole 9 yards. We need this type of system implemented in order for it to be a lot easier on our buyers and our distributors and those who are trying to source good cannabis.
And I feel like even looking at it as a single person, as just me buying a product, it's a little confusing to me why nobody, or at least that's how it feels to me, nobody in the industry seems to be focused on narrowing down the properties of the product, because it feels like it's a really valuable marketing opportunity if you're able to present the product and exactly describe what the product does.
Yeah, there's companies out there that when you go to the store, they don't sell a gram of oils for less than $100 a gram. And so they don't have a product that drops below that. And you can be sure that when you go and pick up that product, it's going to be a certain quality. And it says something, that consumer that has a loyalty to that brand has put their faith in that $100 bill every single time that they go to, that they're getting the most top quality, top notch hash that's out there. So more companies can be developing this type of branding if they're able to tell the story behind it and show that this is actually the best product. Because when they end up on the shelf, everything kind of mixes in together, and creating that brand identity needs a story behind it.
Yeah,
and to tell that story, you tell it supply chain.
Yeah, you need the what's the certificate you get for dogs to certify their breed? You need one of those. I can't think of the name.
Certificate of genetic origin.
That's it.
Is something that's perfect, especially when we start getting exports. And let's say we're down the line here, and I'm in California, and all of a sudden some Moroccan hash comes in, or maybe some charas, and I'm like, well, is it really what it says it is? Well, sure, I can track it all the way down to where it has come from and it is a form of authenticity, but it also gives these regions of the world a place to stand out as well, because everybody's trying to make a name for themselves in the cannabis industry. And there's a lot of history involved in cannabis. So I like to say California is, all the way up here, but it didn't start in California. It started all over the world in ancient times. So we have a really big history of this, and that history is going to start repeating itself now again, because it hasn't really disappeared from these cultures. Sure, it's highly illegal in a lot of these areas where it grows naturally, but it's become part of the culture, and we're going to see that coming back real soon.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Like, I like that each region has its own little strain and like the whole little backstory and lore and stuff to it too. I like that. Being able to keep that to its region is actually very important. So I agree with what you're doing. I think it's great.
So, a lot of the difficulties that come with telling the story and just isolating the properties and everything that has to do with this one any given product, where does that come from? Because I don't think it's solely limited to inconsistent testing, because there isn't like a universal one, right?
I mean, especially here in the States, it varies vastly. Other countries have their own regulations, a lot stricter regulations in a lot of places. We have a lot of loopholes with the CBD industry, and we have come to be encountered with a lot of chemistry, I guess you could call it, because there's all these things that don't fall under the legal law, but you're able to add them back into a CBD product because it's not listed on, in its legalities. And so there's things that maybe aren't exactly what we're looking for in a product, right? They're available. Like I said in like the very beginning of this conversation, everybody's very excited that weed is legal and they can go to the store and go buy it. Even places where it's strictly CBD, it's, there's people always buying CBD weed, and they're happy to do so because they finally can, and we're in this breaking point of all of it. But yeah, I don't know.
Seems like it's there is no one good answer to this, because there's just way too much going on, considering how young the industry is and how fast everyone is trying to move.
Right. And that's part of it. There's when you got into this entire thing where you do have all these loopholes, there is a lot less regulation involved. And without that regulation, we also have a lot of counterfeiting or black market products as well. So when you go through this, there are black market products that even go through testing, but a lot of them counterfeit it. They find another test result and they doctor up the results, and that's even if it's offered on the packaging. I mean, I got packaging all around here. I've been doing a lot of research and development lately for the Metaflora marketplace, but they don't have QR codes on them. They don't tell me what's inside of them. It's like, 10 million % CBD, it's like, oh, I got to try this stuff, and there's nothing backing it. So these things kind of slip through the radar, and they're not even trying, they're not even trying to like lie to you at all. But
I didn't even know that there was like a black market and like fake stuff that goes out there. Like, I'm under the impression that anything that's sold to us is honest. You know what I mean? Like, everything that you say it's honest. And I really shouldn't have that mindset, because I believe a lot of everything that's on the packages, and when people talk about it, I'm just like, okay, they wouldn't lie to us. That's not great.
If only you knew.
So now it kind of makes sense as to why, like, one, it says it's the same thing, and when I test it out, it's not the same thing, and not even close. So
how often, Anita, how often do you watch one of those TV channels where they sell you stuff? Like, how many Snapshots and Magic Bullets do you own? Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. So funny story. It's just because of Magic Bullets and Slap Chops. Okay. And this is because okay, at least it wasn't the ShamWow. Let's not get into ShamWow.
I own a ShamWow.
It's great though. Like, it's a great product. But But anyways, I've had a lot of them, and they all actually they work for like the first 2 times, and then after that everything breaks down, and you're like, no wonder it was $20. But yeah, terrible product. Works for like the first couple times. Other than that, not great. Why do you ask? My poor credit card is what you're asking, isn't it?
If you guys have never seen the Snapshot infomercial, you definitely should have, because the guy in it, whatever he got paid, he did not get paid enough. Because just the amount of energy he puts out. Like, Greg, if you can find this guy and get him to advertise, most definitely do it. Also,
Okay.
I want an autograph. Yeah.
Isn't it the same ShamWow guy?
I'm not
I could
sure.
swear it's the ShamWow guy that does the slap chop. Like, he's just as enthusiastic, and he's just like, check out all this liquid. My one swipe is going to take it all up, and he shows you, and it's great. And I'm like, I need a ShamWow, sir. You got it.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, so to me, it feels like all of the regulations, they don't necessarily seem to make sense. Do you think that's because the industry is evolving too fast, or is it because there wasn't enough proper research done prior to any of these regulations being put in place?
No, I think that there's a lack of education and out there. So, for instance, there's states that have legalized CBD. You can get Delta 9 products in the CBD stores, so you can go to your local smoke shop, the place that sells you some bongs, and they got flower products, they got vape pens, they have gummies, they have all this stuff, and they're Delta 9 products. The THC started at 0.3% THC when it was on the plant. Then they extracted the THC from that 0.3% that was on the bud that was past testing, and now it's an extract. And that extract is actually 100% THC that was extracted from a plant that had 0.3% THC. So reality, when you go to the store to get your Delta 9, you're actually having THC Delta 9. And when they go to vote and say, hey, we want to pass this law for recreational cannabis, and people vote no, and they're saying that we don't want it in our town, there's like a CBD store on every single block, all the way, on every single block. And it's like, well, what did you guys vote no to? Because you already have the product on your shelves. And no, not in my town. It's like, it's already there. You haven't walked into a store and you don't have any idea what it is. And they haven't noticed that anybody's on it, obviously, because they still think that it's a bad thing for their neighborhood.
Mm.
And I mean, all of those,
Education is key.
yeah, and all of those shops are like super fancy too. They got plants inside, and when they have plants inside, you really know the joint is fancy because somebody's out there watering it every day, man.
But yeah, I do believe education is very important, because like, even with any product, if you're not using it correctly, you guys, it's not going to do shit for you. Like, if you have, I was told that like your live resins, all of the different oils and stuff that you can get for vapes, they all burn at different temperatures. I had no idea. Like, I was just like, oh, they were like, buy a 510 battery. I'm like, all right, cool, I got it. They're like, yeah, you could go with this cartridge too. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, 2 puffs in, I'm like, the whole thing is clogged. I don't know what the fuck to do with it. Like, is there a certain temperature? It doesn't tell me anything on the package. It doesn't tell me anything, and it hasn't done shit all for me, right? So I'm like, now I just wasted like $40. Can't even use it. Do I go back to this brand? Probably not, right?
Nope,
so
thank you for a purchase. Please come again.
Education, y'all, because even if you think it doesn't work for you, you might be using it incorrectly. So
yeah,
education.
I would highly I'd highly recommend jumping on the Beyond the Haze podcast that we have launched out recently. It's full of information. We have some of the greatest minds in cannabis on the show. Every episode, we're bringing up somebody new. We have gala music artists that we're featuring on there, and so it's a fun time, and you're also learning a lot about what's happening on a global scale. We've been all around the world, from the UK to Canada to Slovenia to Thailand, you name it. We're covering it all.
Global representation, man. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. Come back to Canada.
there's quite a few shows centered around Canadians. There was just recently Smoker's Farm. That was the last episode that was just published. You guys should go check that one out right now. That's a great one.
Smart.
That was with Spencer Lakusik too, from Gala Music.
All right.
Yeah, he's got such a good spirit, that guy.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Check that out for sure. Let's see, what else do we have on the docket? So how is the industry working out with all of the environmental concerns, and all of the other companies are pivoting or making it look like they're pivoting to more sustainable practices? Because from the outside view, it doesn't seem like the cannabis industry is making all that much of an impact in terms of just what's the word I'm looking for? The carbon footprint in comparison to like, I don't know, chicken farms.
Sure, and there are better farming practices, and there's two sides of this industry, and some people grow fully organic, and then there's other growers that prefer to grow with salts, and they're more chemical based nutrients. And I think that we had spoken before about water usages, and there's other crops out there that use more water than cannabis. But there's also techniques on ways of recapturing water, purifying it, using aquaponics, and stuff like this. So if these are the types of things that you want to support in your cultivation practices, then we can develop a system where you can target just these companies. And I've met companies from Spain to California that use deep water. They use aquaponics. They have fisheries that are fertilizing the water that they're using and then cleansing it and reusing it again. And it's this one big harmonious ecosystem. And so if you can pinpoint products and sources, even because most brands don't cultivate themselves. They outsource to different farms, and they go around and they gather up product, and then they go out and they market different types of products. But if you're able to dive in and see who their sources are, or maybe they have a certain product line, then it gains my attention 100% right away. I'm going to go and try some of this cannabis out. And for me, I know that I like it. So I'm going to be a repeat. And if there's another brand that shows up, I'll try their brand as well. And I'll support that ecosystem of sustainability.
Okay, I'm with it. I get it. So what I wanted to ask you was how are the bigger corporations working out in the industry? Because they seem to be taking a similar approach with all of the other products. Like anything you hit in a grocery store, I'm willing to bet I know like what they're doing that's not exactly great. And how is their presence? How is it affecting the rest of the industry?
Well, I'll say this is definitely situational from state to state. California is having a very rough time with its craft industry. There's a lot of issues with larger companies that were stacking licenses and having a very large product base. And this was essentially the rumor of what kind of drove market price down. However, if you were to go and talk to the heads of these companies, what they say is this is a legal matter. The legal matter is that you guys started this industry off in California, and we're the most sought after state or origin of cannabis in the entire world. So as soon as you open up those gates and say, we're allowed to export our cannabis out of California, this is domestically. I'm not even talking about internationally, right? Like if it hits international and people are knocking on California's door, there's no supply. But what they say is domestically, if we were to go domestic, California would be out of cannabis within weeks, or months. And there's no backing to any of this. So what they were trying to do is they're trying to establish the infrastructure in order to meet a supply and the demand. Now, this has put a huge strangle on the craft industry, maximizing taxes, especially in the beginning, and then trying to recoup a market share where they're competing with companies that can operate on a loss for 10, 15 years. And they're willing to operate on a loss just to reclaim market shares from other establishments. And now I believe we're right around the corner. I think that we're going to really soon see a lot of changes in our legislation when it comes to cannabis on a federal level. I really hope so. A lot of candidates had said it a lot in the past. We didn't hear about it very much over the past, 4 years. And I'm not sure, but I think that this is where we might be moving to, especially in the United States, when we're looking at all of Europe, Canada, and Colombia, and South Africa, and Morocco. Everybody's opening up import-export laws, and we're not. And our industry is really struggling in a lot of senses. It's thriving, in the grand scheme of things, it's thriving, but there's issues at home. And so to answer your question is we're building up something, and there's a cost involved in it. And what we're really want in the end is we want to have our Sierra Nevadas. We want to have these micro breweries that are cannabis, and we want it from a micro farm. I'll bring back Smoker Farms again. This guy is he's the one of the originators of Master Kush Ultra. 20 years ago, was producing Master Kush Ultra. He is now a legal grower in Canada, and he produces Master Kush Ultra. And this is somebody who, if I'm looking for the Coca-Cola in my everyday life, I know who to talk to, because if I talk to, let's say Jesse's growing Master Kush Ultra, I don't know he's got the same phenotype. I don't think that he has the same seeds. It might be something different. Unless I can track that he got it from Smoker Farms and he lives down the street from me, then I'll be like, okay, yeah, let me go get my Coca-Cola from you, because I know that it's the brand that's been there for 20 years. You understand? So this is where I want the industry to be. I want craft growers to be able to stand out and have a name, and we have that craft beer, we have those craft wines. Everybody that has that connoisseurship in them, even in other industries, can relate that this is a foundation that is absolutely necessary. So when we move to other industries, we already have that foundation already set. So we can move into different types of herbs. We can move into wine. We can even move into like distilleries and this type of manufacturing techniques. And so, yeah, sky's the limit there. Corporations are doing the best to like make this thing legal everywhere, and there's a lot of a cost involved. But in essence, you move away from the United States and into the European atmosphere, and we have a lot bigger medicinal backing at the moment, and recreational is talking. But I just hope that there's enough medical research that's going on right now that will keep this in the limelight. As we look at recreational, it's kind of like flattening out our looks on medicinal cannabis, which is another reason why you should watch Beyond the Haze, because we really prove all this stuff, man. It's like, man, I love recreational cannabis. It is recreational, but it's like a miracle plant. Like we've been having all these problems with epilepsy and autism and cancers. And next week I have another guy coming in shrinking tumors on a daily basis. And you like, just wait until you hear this episode. Is absolutely amazing. It's going to be absolutely amazing. And these things are not just like one random occurrence. There's children that are today, they are epilepsy free. There's no more seizures, and they take their medicine every single day, And so we need to keep concentrating on that. There's somebody commented on one of our posts the other day saying that if you test positive for THC, you get off the donors list for an organ transplant. And there's new studies coming out saying that there is no correlation to the rejection of the organ transplant while on THC. So, this knowledge is super important when we get into the healthcare of humans out there.
That is absolutely wild, man. People, you heard it here. It's time to grow up. It's time to drop the stigma. It's time to overcome your bias, because I have a few family members that have struggled with epilepsy, and it's just terrifying. And historically, there's nothing much you can do about it. You can anticipate them, you can try to suppress them, but realistically, there wasn't a definite answer. And this is absolutely groundbreaking, and the same goes for Parkinson, I believe, because the video that went viral a few years ago, where they give an old guy a little bit of oil and his tremors just absolutely stop. It's
Yeah, we
just
reposted that too.
it's
Yeah.
just wild, and people don't seem to be interested whatsoever just because of the negative stigma that came from. I don't even know when it started.
Like once upon a time, forever ago, right? When they were like, "Oh, that's the devil's lettuce. It's gonna someone
Super
else's
madness.
face. It's gonna introduce you to like harder drugs." Blah 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 blah. It's not true. I've actually had my mother tell me that like a month ago.
Oh no.
I'm like, "Mother, I can't sleep at night," and she was like, "You can't do that. If I ever did that at your age, you wouldn't have a mom." And I was like, "Whoa, okay, let's step back there. Let's take a step back now. If you did, let me tell you, you'd probably be happier. You'd be hungrier. You'd have a little bit more, mental sanity. But
Yeah, so all this goes back to the lack of education that is
absolutely
out there in the world, and our platform really aims to make all of this information more transparent, where things come from, what they're good for, and all of that is hosted on our infrastructure in the Node network. The Node network really is going to be hosting like everything from the website to our users' activities to order placement and minting strains and lab reports so that you can qualify to mint strains so people can create their own new strains based on lab data that they've submitted. And it's all really exciting. This is all really, really cool stuff that I'm thrilled to be working on personally.
Yeah, honestly, if the more complex stuff doesn't interest you, the one thing that you should pay attention to, or at least the one thing you should take away, is the fact that Metaflora is working towards the ability to provide you with all of the necessary information on the product you're looking into, as opposed to you having to literally Google your questions and hoping to find something somewhere on Reddit on a thread that was created like 5 years ago that nobody's fucking
let me
touched.
tell you, friends, I've done this and it sucks. Okay, it sucks. So I'm really, really looking forward to all this education, this information that's coming out, because like we've only had all like the myths that we were told as kids because it was so taboo and like frowned upon. So I'm excited. I'm so
Well,
excited.
and
Education.
Yeah, we're building the whole community around cannabis. However, our solutions really apply to everything across the board. So we want to be able to create this awareness for not only cannabis, although cannabis is like Greg said, a miracle herb, really. So yeah, we want to be able to apply this to like everything. From I think the next thing we'll probably add is mushrooms. Greg's been talking about that a lot lately.
Episode 3, psychedelic sciences.
You know what? That's not a bad idea, because again, it's kind of like the wheat field. Okay, there's so much taboo, stigma and all of that stuff attached to it, and it's not bad. You just have to understand what it's for and use it for the right purposes, and not just like, I'm gonna be, I just want to go and be a psychonaut. That might not be the way to go, but like if there's so much other things that it can help with, why not research it? Why not educate the public? Like, let's not demonize everything that we don't understand, because look at what's happened when we do that.
Right.
Isn't it like absolutely wild that the people who were preaching back in the day, like that cannabis is the devil's lettuce and like how bad it is, are the same people who thought that cereal would stop people from masturbating? Like, in all seriousness,
until just now.
yeah, it's the same people. Also, the same
No.
people who put like lead paint on kids' toys. Like,
Oh man.
We did good. We did good.
Oh, man. Well, yeah, episode 3, psychedelic sciences. We're going there. And there's a lot of information already out there, but it's scoured all the way around the internet, all these different findings and researches, and it's public information, and you really have to look for it. It needs to go on chain. It needs to inspire others. It needs to be informative. We need to break stigmas and bounce through barriers.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, with all this in mind, we can produce industry reports. We can track commodity pricing. Like we have over a decade of global commodity index of hemp, and breaking down different types of trends from import exports from every single country. And we can do this across industries, and we can really provide a foundation for people just to learn or people to make sound investment decisions. And these analytics are going to be extremely invaluable when it comes to the future, when we start developing it more and more and more and more, all in one place.
Yeah, and again, circling back to your next steps and branching out into other products, I don't think people realize how much of an issue it is right now, even with their groceries, especially after COVID and all of the supply lines being disrupted. Every time I walk into the nearest grocery store to buy apples, there is like a 70% chance I will not be able to buy the same apples I bought a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no idea where they're coming from. There are all these stickers on there. Apparently they're organic. Apparently they're local. And I shit you not, I was buying apples yesterday. The labeling said local farms, locally sourced, etc., all of the marketable buzzwords. And then the sticker on it was for an entirely different fucking state. Not the state I'm from.
Local where?
Yeah, local to, like, I don't know, Aspen. They're growing apples over there. I don't know.
Well, to take you up on that too. So if you're looking at cannabis and you're looking at medicines, even other products, right, that don't even have cannabis in them, they have herbs, right? If we look at the herbalism side of everything, what I would like to do, we talked about the mushrooms, we talked about the psychedelic sciences, but also is the herbalism, the holistic medicines. And these are already involved in your day when you go to the store and you pick up a cannabis product. So it's going to go very hand in hand. So if you're having these salves or these tinctures or even drinks, you can take a look into what these types of ingredients are, and you can actually be a bit more knowledgeable on it all in one package frame. So if it has the lavender, it'll express to you what it does, and so on and so forth.
That would be awesome. Having that labeling, very important, because like again, more Anita time stories. I got this tincture, had no idea what the hell to do with it. I was like, do I just pour it down my throat? Do I mix it in my water? Like, I don't know what to do with it. So it's still sitting there. I don't know what to do with it.
The bottle looks really cool, though. The packaging is always great.
I mean, it's like a dropper bottle. It looks suspicious.
That's what you do.
Really? That was it? But like, I tried that before. It tastes horrible. Didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Tastes terrible. And it says like 10 to 15 drops per cup. And I was like, oh, no. No.
Oh, here, drink this entire bottle. It should do something. It's $40. It must be good.
Yeah, like...
And to put things in perspective, because I feel like the word holistic has certain negative connotations associated with it, mostly due to people doing terrible things and covering them up with just a buzzword, right? But a bit of an anecdote, a personal story. I had a root canal done right after Christmas. So I was in terrible, excruciating pain throughout the entire holidays. I couldn't eat. It got so bad I got blisters on my tongue because I could only eat on one side of my mouth. And I couldn't get any more painkillers because it's Christmas. Nobody wants to talk to me on Christmas, and I get it. Like, I should have done that before, but the pain started literally right before that. Anyway, at a certain point, I was already at 1,200 milligrams of ibuprofen, and I really don't want to go higher than that because realistically, I want my liver in one place. And I had a friend come over, and he brought a pen with him, a vape pen, and he's like, "This should help. I've been smoking this because it helps with inflammation." I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm fucking desperate. I'll do literally anything right now to stop the pain. But it worked. And the shittiest part about all of this, it worked incredibly well, but I can't get any more of it because even if I buy the same product, who the fuck knows what's in it?
The same
Like,
brand, right?
because I tried
Exactly.
it and it just doesn't work.
Tell your
Yeah.
friend to run back to the store, make sure it's the same lot.
Yeah, right.
Like, I need
Check
it
the
right
SKU.
now. It can't run out. We gotta go now.
Yeah, like can I get the lot number for Gorilla Glue?
Right. Yeah. So on this subject, let's say you went out to the store and you bought it through Metaflora's marketplace, and you went down and picked it up at your local dispensary, and you came home and you told us that this was like what was happening, right? So we have integrated Rep into our review platform. So when you go on there, you can actually use Rep's tech, and as soon as you hit your review, it logs it into that strain, and then it comes up on a public feed on the side. So as people are scrolling through their socials, they'll see this pop up there and be able to click on it, and it'll draw people directly to the product that you're talking about. So you're going to be raising awareness in the greater atmosphere of Web3 and socials.
I can't
Yes,
wait until this comes to
absolutely.
Canada.
And another thing, I feel like people have grown to underestimate the impact of a genuine human interaction, because you can't find a legitimate review these days, like anywhere you go.
Right.
But
We're not on Flipit. Just kidding.
but now that there is a place for real people to talk about things, to discuss these things that people that normally lurk in the shadows, I feel like we're finally getting the results in the communities that should have been there a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's just so much to it.
This is actually the perfect time to get involved, really. We're expecting such immense growth and adoption in the near future for all that we've been speaking about. So like, if you're interested in any of the things that we're talking about here, join us in Discord, join our node network. Like we need you guys. Seriously. We're working hard every day, and we need more people. We need you guys.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, send over the links. We're gonna pin them down in the description. And if you have a graphic for your podcast, send that over as well, because I want to flash it on screen for people to see.
Okay.
Man, I keep losing my train of thought when I run my mouth. It's something.
Well, either way, I'm gonna need that podcast link so I can start listening to it too.
Oh, the podcast is like super high quality. I'm so proud of Greg. It's amazing. It's so amazing.
I'm excited.
Well, you can watch it right on our website. We got a theater built out over there. You can watch it directly on there. It tells you exactly who our guests are. A little headline about each one of them. Some information about all of our hosts. We got Earthlings Music as a host. We got Candy Claus, Clark Fitter as a host. And check out our sponsors.
Awesome. We have Earthlings Music in our chat right now on YouTube too.
Yep.
Yay!
Heck yeah.
Hey,
Shout out to Earthlings. What else,
Earthlings.
Bar?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what I wanted to ask you is, how does it work with exporting cannabis between states? Because I don't think, is that not a thing? Period. Does that happen somewhere in the United States?
No. So not legally. What companies do is they open up. Brands can operate in different states because they'll just go off of those other cultivation licenses and then white label products in order to get them into the right stores. So there's a lot of larger corporations that do this type of strategy, and that's why you see brand recognition across the United States.
Okay, I see. Because I was starting to wonder, if brands cannot export, like how does this work? Because I don't think anybody is growing anything out in any field here where I'm at right now, because it's way too cold, but the product keeps flowing.
Well, indoor, right?
Yep. Yeah.
That must be a very big indoor state then.
Yeah, I actually totally forgot about that. Yeah, that
And
one's
I mean, I don't know. I couldn't speak for it, but there might be some shenanigans going on in the background. So
who knows? Who knows? But luckily, I know just the guy who'll be able to help us, and we actually have three of them here on this podcast.
So I do have a question. How do I join your guys' quality assurance team? I would like to be a tester.
or R&D.
Well, we do have the connoisseur box, okay, which we'll be able to have a lot of fun with, I think, down the line here. Being able to like maybe send out blind taste tests, or do like a quarterly cannabis cup, and kind of like rate some products and go on use your Flora token for voting, or we haven't really figured out the ins and outs of it, but it's getting there. We're going to be there real quick. We're going to have a lot of fun with this as well.
I like that. I'm excited.
The first use cases of Flora, we do have figured out, though. We have order placement with local dispensaries, partner products that you can pay for with Flora. And then we also have data publishing, like lab reports and minting your own strains. So all that's figured out with Flora. So it's really good for like home growers and connoisseurs and people that use it medically and recreationally within their local areas. Yeah, it's really so you basically use your Flora to contribute data to the network, and then if that data is valuable to other people by like them visiting a page or using it to, I don't know, contribute towards some other data points, say they're like writing an article on a lab report or a specific strain, the person who initially injected that data into the database actually also gets rewarded in Flora token because their data is valuable. So it's kind of like a give-take relationship. If your data is valuable to other people, then you get Flora token, and vice versa.
I feel like it's... Go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, I was going to say, in a way, it's almost like a social media thing, but for weed, right? So like the more views you get rewarded. If you like it, and if you contribute, then you get rewarded.
Yeah, we're tracking all of that information. Okay. So you could actually build your profile like right now on the platform. We're tracking every article that you read. I mean, you need there's like a tracking bar at the bottom of the page. So, but once you actually read the article and stay long enough to read it, it tracks that view to your profile.
That's good to know.
And then we have badge progress, and we gamified the whole experience. So your profile has like levels. And that's all going to be contributing towards your earning in the future as well.
I like that. You know what? Of all platforms I'll join, I'll probably join this one and just get rid of all my social media. I don't use that anyways.
You got Anita.
You guys got me. You nailed it.
You had me last time we were chatting on Mission Control, you guys. And I gotta say, I feel like the system you guys are putting together with the rewards and everything, it's incredibly simple at the essence of it, because it works the way any system should work when it comes to just about anything, because a system is supposed to reward people for doing the right thing, as opposed to like the standard monetization practices, let's say on YouTube. Hi, YouTube. I know we're like an hour in, so you're not monitoring at this point, so I'm just going to talk shit. Because realistically, YouTube should be rewarding for people for doing the right thing and creating high-quality content that actually brings something to the table. But instead of doing that, the only content that receives anything significant in return is whatever it is that you can marketable content, which creates... Go ahead.
And more so, even from the creators' perspective, the creators are valuable because they're in the minority on YouTube. But the most valuable part about YouTube is all of its users, the people who actually participate, the engagement. That's the most valuable part. Strip that away from any platform, even like Facebook, and Facebook becomes worthless overnight.
Yep, absolutely agree.
So we want to really feed into that and reward the people who are participating. So seriously, if anybody, like, we're working real hard. Get involved. This is the time to get involved.
This absolutely is the time to get involved.
Where people will be able to hang out, like imagine if you were younger and you were smoking weed, like for example in Czech Republic, we were smoking from the black market weed, so everyone was kind of know each other, and it was just the culture. So if we would have anything like Metaflora platform where we can hang out and make our stories, that would really be something for us. Like, imagine if you can make your cannabis story. You have your platform and you can share and tell everyone what you were smoking, what you were growing, what you were doing with who you were smoking, how you felt. That's very important for reviews, right, for the products. And basically, one of the idea of this social media is to create a journey of all the users who want to make their journey.
Oh, Rocket Unit, your story sounds exactly like mine when we were younger because we'd be like, hey, did you try this one?
Just really quickly, I don't know what the statute of limitation on possession of illicit substances is in Canada.
I'm just saying forever ago, you guys can't come after me. And, this is forever ago. Right. But we used to talk about it. We used to be like, hey, did you try this? And they're like, it's all right. And then they throw it in a different name. They're like, oh, you have to try this. It's great. But like, what do you mean by it's good, it's great? Like, what's it doing? Is it just like fucking you up to the point where you're greening out and like you think that's great? Or is it like, you're happy, you can function, you're not paranoid? Like, what is going on? Because that would be nice to know before you're like, hey, I'm going to try this one. And then you're completely fucked for the day. It would have been good. So I agree with all of that, and like interacting with each other when it comes to strains and what you need, what you're looking for, how it affects you. And just people with eyes on it, the reviews, it's super important because like even now going onto the online dispensaries, you get one or two and you're like, oh yeah, the hit was smooth. And you're like, okay, anything else?
Imagine go to dispensaries with AI. You would be just scanning Metaflora QR codes and asking, like, is this strain good for my profile in terms of like what strains you prefer? Like, for example, you like something uplifting for fun and creativity, and then you would find something what's not really fit to your profile. So the AI would help you, like, no, this is not for you. This is not for you. This one is what you want to try.
See, that would be perfect, right?
Yeah, you can categorize. The AI would be able to tell you, like, this is a good morning strain because it keeps you awake and alert, but you want to smoke this one right before you go to sleep because it'll knock you right out. You know what I mean?
So, Anita, the other thing, too, is in Canada, they don't allow you to smell the bud. They don't allow you to touch it either. You have to, when you order cannabis, you're pretty much picking out something from behind the table. So there's not really that ability to be like, okay, I could. Yeah, it smells like this. But even with the crosses nowadays, it says that it's skunk, and you smell it, and it's not skunk. It's like something more fruity. It's it's really really hard without having that backstory behind the product.
So our dispensaries, it pretty much just gives you like a binder, right? So you have like a menu list, and then they tell you the strain and the percentage and the price, and that's it.
And it's sealed before you get
sections. It, right? Yeah, everything is tamper-proof, everything. So you don't really know except anything that's written on the package. And if your bud tender is, knowledgeable enough to know everything about the product, they'll tell you about it. If not, they're like, well, it just came in. I haven't tried it yet. I've heard good things. Like, what are the good things that you've heard? Like, I don't know. They say it's good.
I was just at the store the other day, and the bud tender was like, "Yeah, try this drink. It's like equivalent to 14 grams of weed." And I was like, "It says it's 10 milligrams." I was like, "What are you talking about?" and then you know what she did? She sold me counterfeit raw papers right after that had no glue on it. I'm like, "Oh my goodness!"
Yeah, they didn't know who they were talking to.
I mean.
Did
you give him a bad review?
Did you make sure it was on?
I totally flipped it. I flipped it
on. Good. You gotta really hate something to specifically give it a bad review,
Yeah.
All right, Greg, can you do us the honor and talk about your podcast one more time so we can do it all proper, like?
All right. So you guys got a lot to watch. We're nearing the end of episode 1 here. We've had guests from all over the place. From, like I said before, it's from Slovenia, from the UK, to Canada, to, man, you name it, Thailand, and beyond. We have more and more coming out. We cover everything from legislation to cannabis research in space. We're all going to the moon, and medicine, psychedelic therapies, and I don't want to give away too much, but we got some very innovative things that you might not have heard of yet. We have, CBD in the form of IVs, and cannabis tourism coming on up too. Every single show, minus maybe 2 or 3, is a gala music artist. Next episode, we have David Bianchi on, representing Gala Films. And it's a great, entertaining show. You're going to learn a lot, and we have a lot of fun at the same time.
Yeah, shout out to Canna Claus and Space Bar. They're doing amazing.
Yeah, what's up, Canna Claus?
Space Bar specifically hooked up like this sexy intro. It's amazing. You guys have to see that. Peep it. It's so good.
Yeah,
I do love a good intro.
Everybody who's been on the show has been absolutely awesome. Shout out to Ali M for helping out with lining up a lot of those music artists for us. That's super awesome. And it's been great having the show. My network just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and I'm making more and more friends along the way. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. You guys are the best. Dude, go check it out.
I'm definitely watching it tomorrow. And with your network growing, man, how far are you from getting on Joe Rogan Experience? Just
well, it's more like I don't know if I'd go on his show. Maybe I'd have him on mine.
Whoa. I mean, you take what you can get with Joe Rogan. I'll talk to him.
Dream big.
Oh, guys, I'm very happy that we got to sit down and talk about this, that we got to spread awareness a little bit, because people, this isn't the dark ages anymore. Weed is no longer about going over to your buddy's basement to split a joint. There's so much more to this, and all of this had been historically blocked for various reasons, be it political or the so-called health issue concerns. But there is so much more to weed than just getting high. And I could sit here for another hour just talking about the benefits. As Greg said, it's just about the miracle plant. And what's absolutely blowing my mind is how little research is being done, because this is essentially brand new. Like, the discoveries that could be made are there up for the grabs. And it doesn't seem like the right people are interested in conducting the research that is so vital right now.
There are a lot of good people pushing the envelope right now.
We're definitely getting there.
Progress.
Yeah,
all right.
We're definitely getting there.
We're here to represent that.
The ones that are doing it are moving mountains. So we just got to make sure that your local legislation is listening, and we have the information publicly available, and we can definitely make a change.
Yeah. Don't shy away from the conversation. When somebody talks smack, you got to talk back. Make sure people understand. That wasn't intentional.
I like that.
But not intentional rhyme. But yeah, we're running up on time. We're running over right now. Guys, great conversation. Always good to have you on here. I really appreciate everything. Again, I want to remind everyone that the workloads, Metaflora node workloads, I got it right this time, are going live on 23rd. And there will be more information on just about everything. We're planning on publishing a few more articles on general education, the things Metaflora plans to do, and the pain points they're looking to ease, to assuage. And I think that's about it. I think I'm just about done running my mouth.
Absolutely. So, before we let everyone go, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Also, join Metaflora's Discord, and I believe all of the links are in our description box.
Yes, they absolutely are.
So
and
make sure y'all go take a look.
Yeah, and if you If you want more information on the topics we've covered today, there is an article on exactly this. You can check it out right now. It's also pinned in the description. And yeah, absolutely check out Metaflora, the things they're doing, the things they're going to be doing, because this is just the first steps. And even at this point, the tempo is absolutely great, and everyone at LFG is looking forward to the guys you're building, and we're absolutely here for it. Again, thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything else you guys want to bring up before we split up here?
Let's fucking go.
Let's go!
Love it.
Thank you guys.
Thank you so much,
Thank you
gentlemen.
so much.
Thanks,
All right.
everyone.
See y'all.